Hey guys, tonight we're stepping back into the tales of yore, sliding under those dusty, time-worn curtains of history. Imagine the cool creak of old floorboards beneath your socks, a sleepy dog sighing beside you, and the soft light of a flickering candle that might just be from Target's clearance bin these days. We're diving into the curious, often quirky world of Victorian hygiene, a place where personal grooming was a cross between a timed obstacle course and a mystery novel. You probably won't survive this without a chuckle or two, as you wonder how anyone managed without those endless skincare routines we scroll past on TikTok. Before you get too comfy, feel free to tap like or subscribe, but only if you're genuinely enjoying the calm around here. Think of it like a sleepy high five between us. Tell me where you're listening from and what time it is over there. I love seeing how far this sleepy little journey reaches. Now, go ahead and lower the lights. Maybe let a fan hum in the background, and let's drift gently into tonight's story together. You wake up in a Victorian morning, with the sunlight peeking through windows cloaked in a layer of soot. It's not quite the rise and shine moment we think of today, with maybe a few rays of golden sunshine and birds singing in synchronization like a Disney movie. Instead, it's more like you're poking your head out from under a heavy quilt of smog, where the air feels thick enough to spread on toast. Honestly, you half expect Sherlock Holmes to pop out with a magnifying glass, trying to piece together why everyone's openly embracing the decor trend of Victorian gloom. As you stumble your way across a creaky wooden floor that insists on announcing your every step, you head towards the basin to splash some cold water on your face. There, in the small-looking glass that might remind you of the time you tried those Instagram filters that promised to reveal your true beauty, you start to grasp just how gritty mornings can be. Water, the universal refresh button, is scarce and has to be fetched from a pump down the street. Showering every day? Not in the slightest. Folks back then preferred the once-a-week scrub, sometimes stretched out to once a month, achieving cleanliness at roughly the same pace you clear that email inbox. And talking about those morning routines, let's chat about a weird little twist. Because here's a quirky tidbit for you. Imagine cleaning your face with something akin to veal broth, aka beef drippings. I know. You're grimacing like that time you drank curdled milk, right? But beef fat was thought to keep your skin soft and supple, so it was a hit amid Victorian beauty rituals. You'll find it either amusing or alarming that nowadays we'd equate this with reaching for the discarded pizza box at breakfast. No judgment if that's how you roll. But here's the open question historians still argue about. Did Victorians truly embrace this kind of minimalist cleanliness all the time? Or was it more a survival tactic in crowded, polluted cities that made water a scarce commodity? Scholars haven't nailed that one down, much like we're still working out why we pretend to understand crypto, or why dark mode feels so emotionally accurate. Speaking of mysteries, the morning air is filled with scents. A mix of coal smoke, dampness, and questionable hygiene, reminiscent of when you've left laundry in the washer and forgotten about it. For the Victorians, it was a sensory delight, or assault depending on perspective, enough to make those candle-lit rooms smell something between old cabbage soup and the forgotten underbelly of a museum exhibit. Imagine you relatives, with their delightfully outdated predicaments, gathering for breakfast with such an aromatic introduction. You can't decide whether this is more of an invitation or a challenge. Honestly, you can almost hear the clang of utensils amidst whispers of "pass the salt" in a world forever punctuated by an invisible fog. And yet, amidst the thick air and dubious dishes, the days somehow begin. With those dusty, creaking steps and the scent of survival hanging in the air, you can't help but feel a certain coziness, like reading messages from a long muted group chat, knowing there's comfort in just being a part of it. As you become reacquainted with Victorian tidbits and peculiar facts, think of it as having one of those timeless, warmed, ensure you boiled away the night's sleep. This is the journey we're sharing tonight, where dust-covered drapes are drawn back to reveal little snippets of life that make you grateful for your three-step teeth-cleaning routines and soft playlists. You wander downstairs, anticipation building for the day, like setting 5 alarms and only acknowledging them as mere suggestions. It's time to think about the dreaded event of bathing, which back in the Victorian era was more like prepping for a mini construction project than a quick rinse. Picture this: a bathtub resembling an oversized soup tureen, not installed in a gleaming white-tiled bathroom, but instead a portable fixture dragged into rooms at will. You can almost hear the floorboards groaning in protest. Water, often cold, or if you're lucky, lukewarm, flows into this modest sanctuary, likely speckled with stray bits of yesterday's dirt, or, if you're a real Victorian optimist, remnants of last night's soup concoction, though you should hope otherwise. Baths were such a significant ordeal that the cleansing process often happened weekly at most. Which, amuse yourself with this quirky notion, anyone taking a daily bath may have been seen as either scandalously showy or insanely wealthy, like posting your avocado toast on Instagram with an artful filter every single morning. Here's a fun little tidbit that may indeed charm you. Public bathhouses were actually quite a thing where folks, for a modest fee, could cleanse collectively. Imagine your local gym's locker room, but with all the privacy of a packed music festival queue. In reality, that public setting made personal hygiene a bit of an exercise in public relations blended with an Olympic sport. The ability to avoid eye contact while scrubbing your elbows in tepid water was likely a valuable skill. Kinda like scrolling through reels on 2% battery just to feel alive, challenge mode on. But here, we're diving into a heated debate that remains. Did maintaining such body care and the occasional bath ritual come from necessity, or was it more a luxury for city dwellers? Historians still argue whether such practices varied drastically between urban and rural lifestyles, much like whether our ever-buzzing notifications constitute actual communication or just digital noise. As the scholars ponder, we're here together in this moment, picturing those old bathtubs being filled with mix-matched water temperatures, and it's like praying for world peace. As the comfortable nostalgia of the past swirls around you like Yorkshire fog, you can almost imagine the amusingly dire reactions to the first gust of warm, soapy water splashing anew. Seriously, take a moment to picture people gingerly stepping into unfamiliar suds with expressions ranging from fearless determination to "who turned this into a roller coaster?" It's one of those you gotta laugh situations that makes today's leisurely showers, complete with 10 different shampoo brands you don't actually need, feel like the royal treatment Aladdin never had. Bathing supplies. Let's linger there for a while. We're exiting in their simplicity and innovation. Homemade soap could probably double as either a stubborn doorstop or a less than sensitive exfoliator. The more you're imagining this, the more you appreciate the craftiness of the Victorians, who basically dragged treasures from the pantry to redesign a much-needed bathroom product. Should you find yourself bemused by Victorians stepping in and out of those oversized soapy cauldrons, remember, it wasn't all doom and grooming. There was always the joy of sharing personal stories while rubbing elbows, if not with friends, then with layers of air. Again, no judgments if these habitual activities translate into you sending friends a sweating emoji just because it feels fitting. As the bathwater cools and the chill of time sneaks into your toes, you're left with a vision of bygone days filled with warm community spirits and quirky hygiene routines that, even with modern conveniences, somehow still resonate. It's like binge-watching cleaning videos instead of actually cleaning. We've all got our peculiar ways of staying human and connected. As you emerge from the splashy remnants of the Victorian bathtub, which honestly felt like an impromptu agility test, it's time to face the day and its peculiar challenges, starting with soap. Oh, the slippery world of soap. Back in the era of corsets and crinolines, soap wasn't just a straightforward bar slumbering in your shower caddy. It was an adventure in chemistry, crafted from lye and animal fats that took on the texture of, well, hopefully not bark, though it often looked like it. Imagine your typical soap-making session requiring the careful, precise measures of Breaking Bad, but set in a kitchen that strongly resembles Grandma's cozy doom of lace doilies and copper kettles. Trust me, you'd think twice about casually tossing a bar of Victorian soap into your basket at Target next to your favorite fuzzy socks. Here's where we chuckle. Soap back then, despite all its homemade charm, was infamous for being a fickle friend in dissolving grime but preserving odors. Essentially, it was like if your deodorant said, "Good luck," on the label and then dashed out the back door. You couldn't just swipe your credit card for a gimmicky soap trend promising to exfoliate and moisturize while singing you lullabies. Meanwhile, the newfangled, store-bought soap, which dared to arrive with promises of reliability, sparked quite the conversation in many households. It wasn't that different from the great debates of today, like whether to embrace or silently scoff at the latest tech gadgets or TikTok trends your cousins are obsessed with. Was the trust in big companies worthy of the additional coin? Or should loyalty stay with Grandma's homemade concoction that could double as wall decor? The matter, perhaps as intense as choosing between kombucha or cold brew, remains open, with historians pondering whether this shift indicated a broader trust in commercial goods. So there's your open question. Did the arrival of ready-made cleaning products indicate a social shift? Or was it simply a matter of convenience for busy Victorians with a million other things to dust? Historians are still tossing that one around, deciding if it's the chicken or the egg, or in our case, the soap or the soup. As you maneuver through this pastel nook of a past kitchen scene, your senses are treated to an array of delightful concoctions, from floor-scrubbing vinegar blends that would now threaten even the most distressed jeans, to polishes designed for that never-ending dust storm hovering as a ceiling installation. It's an era where a pristine home meant your guests might survive the visit without sneezing into homemade silk kerchiefs, fashioned with more care than the compositions of your average trendy artist. And here's a tidbit for thought. Lemon was a hero of the day, wielded as everything from a cleaning ingredient to a rudimentary deodorant. Yes, friends and roommates of the time might have always carried the faint scent of lemonade without the fun summer vibe, an oddly refreshing personal signature for everyone involved. Imagine it, a society ever so slightly zesty, perhaps offering the soothing mental image of a perpetual lemonade stand run by your eccentric Aunt Mabel, who insists on serving it with a spoon. Amidst all this soap drama and cleaned and polished disorder, the sense of a home emerges, cluttered yet comforting, hinting at the earnest desires clinging to an era desperate to be clean, pure, and inviting against the ever-present urban grime. It's like wanting your Wi-Fi to buffer memories of dinners where everything is homemade, yet ironically waiting 30 minutes for the internet to load pictures of home-cooked meals. Ultimately, gracing this gentle carnival of past quirks brings forth more appreciation for life's little luxuries, from shower gels lined on bathroom shelves to the friendly consistency of shower water that isn't competing with hot air balloons. With each new layer in this tale, you continue to drift along the footpath of history, marveling at the myriad ways we embraced ways to stay fresh, to connect, and to cover our own quirks with yet another laugh. The twists and turns of hygiene may shift with the centuries, but the heart remains timelessly human. All of us, ever so humorously, trying to squeaky clean better versions of our days. You step gingerly into the Victorian kitchen, half expecting ghostly figures to pop up and offer you a slice of truly questionable meat pie. Instead, you're greeted by a cacophony of scents that, quite frankly, could all be part of a daring new Yankee candle line. Essence of the 1800s. Think about it for a second. The soft scent of coal mingling with the sweet, tangy notes of lemon, contrasting sharply against the somewhat enigmatic fragrance of boiled cabbage. A little melancholy, a little intriguing, and just a smidge overwhelming, like reading all the subtitles in a heavy foreign drama at 1.5x speed. Victorian homes were inventive, like your grandma's art projects, making dubious materials work in dazzling new ways, or using questionable logic to run a one-pot kitchen. But what's really entertaining is diving into their delightful culinary-cum-hygienic adventures. Did you know, for instance, that fish paste was a consistent guest at the dinner table? Oh yes, being a staple in such households was like having a surprisingly chatty AI assistant, ready to jump into any conversational seasoning you might need. And here's where it gets peaceably weird. This fish paste wasn't just confined to the plate. It waltzed its way into the realm of hygiene as well. Because why not multitask when you're battling stubborn household odors? Pass the soap, skip the lime, just dab a cultural hint of last night's entrees in the corner instead. Could this be considered an early precursor to the invention of Febreze? It certainly was efficiency at its best, or perhaps a bit too efficient for comfort. But you might wonder what historians ponder over this culinary multitasking. Did Victorian families see this dual-purpose approach as innovative genius, or simply a necessity forced upon them by the scarcity of resources? Historians still argue whether the need to repurpose food as odor neutralizers was an act of desperation or ingenious creativity, akin to using baking soda as an all-purpose cleaner next to your laptop's glowing screen and committed runtime errors. Amid this curious collage, meal times were certainly lively, despite the potential aroma resembling a truce among pantry items hoping for the best. The delicate clink of cutlery seeming more like a distant echo of long-forgotten minstrelsy cut through the aromatic tapestry alive with Victorian spirit. In this world of delightful oddities, the Victorian host, channeling their inner influencer, would serve a blend of meals managing to achieve nourishment while also offering dinner guests a snapshot experience of their day's activities. A minimalist presentation in intentionally ruddy browns and beiges. That certainty that dinner wasn't just food, but also an improvised ode to survival, like ordering out during the busiest week of nutrition failure. But worry not, for humor lurked even in these poignant moments. Imagine sharing a hearty laugh with fellow diners when someone would accidentally bite into a clove, or some flavor enhancement surprise intended only for decor. Or you end up envisioning it like the fashionable elite believed a splash of surprise every evening kept the dining experience as lively as an old-school notification pinging amidst modern tranquility. So, your Victorian home bustles with this earthy, practical humor, dissolving the shards of antiquity to reveal humans mastering the art of survival with laughter-stained teeth. And in those small triumphs, you find a glimmering connection to our own contemporary ways. A reminder that sharing smiles, raising eyebrows at the peculiar, and creating our own recipes for happiness ties us closer than any time machine ever could. With the delicate taste of Victorian humor still lingering in your imagination, you wander away from the kitchen spectacle and into the living room, where afternoons drift by like drowsy cats on warm windowsills. It's a quiet, cozy space where even the wallpaper seems to have opinions on the decor. Its patterns are as intricate as a teenager's fanciful doodles in a forgotten notebook. This is where you encounter the social rituals of grooming, a matter of genuine art and sometimes unfathomable mystery. You've got to laugh when you picture serious, stern Victorians sitting there brushing their hair, not once, not thrice, but 100 times each evening. It sounds strangely like a 19th century version of swiping through a never-ending Instagram feed, hoping for some magical transformation to unfold at any moment. But here's a head-scratcher that tickles today's scholars. Did folks really believe in the mystical power of hairbrushing? Or was it just a fad born from some very imaginative marketing? Historians still argue whether thousand-stroke hairbrushing brought about tangible benefits, or if this routine falls under the folklore epic of grandma's beauty cures, right next to spending hours contemplating a new phone case that promises to transform your user interface. An aroma diffuses from the powders and tonics lining small vanity tables, reminiscent of cornfield whispers carrying sweet hints of lavender, carefully collected and crushed. We're talking Victorian DIY charm, the step-down cousin of modern-day aromatic diffusers. Seriously, the lengths gone to tame one's locks are both entertaining and perplexing, leaving one gazing in awe at the simplistic serums we adore today. And there's something amusing about the lengths, and they went to great, humorously poetic lengths to maintain certain styles. Picture yourself trying to tame curls without even a primitive curling wand in sight. That's dedication. Stiff curlers resting beneath your nightcap, forcing beauty sleep to mean anything but restful slumber, all for those desired spirals to say, "I woke up like this," several sleepless nights later. It's both endearing and exasperating in equal measure, akin to staring at a half-moon cookie, wondering where to start before the drool gives away your indecision. Poised in front of the mirror, a well-appointed Victorian gentleman, the dandy of his day, engrosses himself with a meticulous comb and a bright, weighty tin of pomades. It's a dance of control, keeping his hair both poised and aromatic, a social statement wrapped in nostalgia. The Victorian ritual of grooming was as much about art as it was practicality. That's where the sepia-toned community added charm to its evenings of storytelling and slightly exaggerated brags that could no doubt rival any LinkedIn post of this age. There's a curious tidbit to ponder. Alongside pomades, folks used bear grease. Yes, you heard that right, as a hairstyling product. Definitely doesn't sound appealing on the surface. Yet, it was considered the creme de la creme of hair products, which might make you squint trying to decide if you'd have rather lived that particular lifestyle quirk or just passed on the opportunity gracefully, opting for a more fragrant alternative. The textures and scents of this era, though oftentimes overpowering, created a social circle filled with storytelling and the occasional nudge of wit among the playful banter of its time. As you breathe it all in, the sense of community, alongside the frivolous perseverance of grooming gymnastics, leaves a lingering warmth. In turn, it reminds you of the timeless beauty found in these shared echoes of humanity, where even the most peculiar routines carry with them an unspoken joy. It's like texting a sigh of relief to a friend amidst an otherwise chaotic chatter, remembering we're all in this together. The evening begins to settle in like an oversized quilt, the kind you pull over your head when the world feels a bit too loud. The sun dips beyond the horizon, casting a soft, comfortable shadow over the room, and you're suddenly aware of the bustling activity of a typical Victorian night, the kind that dances to the rhythm of flickering firelight and candle glow, as soothing as the homespun hum of today's home appliances on quiet settings. As you pull back another curtain of history, you glimpse Victorian men and women getting ready to wind down their day. The scent of lavender lingers, mingling with the faint, smoky residue of other aromatic concoctions as night attire makes its subtle introduction. Victorian sleepwear was, for lack of a better word, rather theatrical. A stage performance of layers where modesty met nighttime comfort with varying degrees of success. It's almost as if they fully anticipated impromptu, sleep-deprived soirees in their bedrooms, ready to entertain the sleepiest and most indifferent of audiences. Picture wraps and lengthy, frilly nightgowns floating through candlelit corridors like wobbly, ethereal apparitions. Or perhaps more accurately, as eccentric, gracious ghosts rummaging for misplaced slippers. You won't find minimalist loungewear here. Instead, it's the era of dramatic and voluminous silk and flannel layers, competing delightfully with the whispers of ancestral musings. It's enough to make modern mismatched pajamas feel like high fashion by comparison, winky face emoji included. As Victorian figures saunter through this nightly ritual, there's a notable open question historians still jab at over tea. Did these elaborate sleep ensembles emphasize broader social standing? Or were they just a quirky manifestation of the era's flair for grandeur? Much like today, when we wonder whether brands influence lifestyle choices, or merely blend into background noise, like a TikTok scrolling marathon taken way past bedtime. The din of the household is hushed, a gentle embrace against the night air, save for the crackling fire and occasional rustle of papers. Likely letters penned by dim light, or novels whose spine carries tales of love and adventure like true confidants cupped snugly within one's pajamas. Wouldn't it be intriguing to translate those stories, often shared on lampshade-lit nights, into the kind of content we consume without noticing, like half reading a long cousin status update, but appreciating the sentiment nonetheless? At the close of the day, you can almost hear the soft taps against well-worn floors as hands reach for a favorite book. or the comfort of yarn gripped in silent melody under family porticos. This allure of bygone days fills you with unfathomable delight as you marvel at the small, deliberate traditions they harbored, treasures meant to soothe, not forgotten, within the cozy and collective sigh of time. As night slowly unfurls to a backdrop of earnest whispers and the crackling hearth, you're left with a sense of warmth, with the understanding that for centuries, people have cradled bedtime stories and rituals nourishing tender dreams until morning peeks its nose once more through drawn, dusty drapery. Such peace, richly freckled and softly tuned, hums the rhapsody of human nature and its gentle march through history. It's like the heartwarming realization that sometimes scrolling through forgotten playlists reminds you there's beauty in rediscovery, hoping newfound dreams will inspire once more from the ashes of deep, enduring slumber. As the Victorian night wears on, the comfort of the cutting room, warmed by the last embers of the evening, envelopes you like a well-loved sweater. It's a little worn in places, yet it smells of quiet evenings and memories you can almost touch. Instead of the sterile glow of screens and the incessant ping of notifications, there's the soft murmur of handwritten notes and stories read aloud, their words weaving through the air like a cozy spell cast gently over the room. But alas, the tranquility is not without its quirks. Ah, the chamber pot, a loyal companion tucked sneakily beside the bed. It's one of those historical artifacts that really brings home the reality of past living conditions, like discovering that tiny, unexpected stain on your just-washed, skinniest jeans. While we might not equate it to the comforts of modern plumbing, it played its role in the nightly routine. Whether with dread or practicality is left to the imagination. The chamber pot is reminiscent of a time before plumbing became the silent hero of household infrastructure. Those nighttime whims of nature didn't honor social grace, leaving you to navigate middle-of-the-night potty escapades under the watchful eyes of snickering wooden floorboards. It's the kind of situation almost forcing you to laugh lightheartedly, feeling empathy for those midnight wanderers, equivalent to the nightly quest for your phone charger gone rogue beneath layers of blanket. The open debate. Historians wiggle their scholarly spectacles over goes a little something like this. Was the chamber pot seen purely as a convenience? Or did its presence signify a deeper cultural acceptance of merging utility with living space in ways we find ourselves sneaking into modern design today? The line between taste and necessity is blurred, much like debating whether those 10-step beauty regimens are for health or simply indulging in their hypnotic sequence. Though chamber pot escapades were a regular ritual, their dignity remained unperturbed by the punchy wit and banter of household life, a necessary counterpart should someone vacate the comfort of heavy quilts, cocooned warmth meeting a momentary chill as an inevitable dose of practicality. Truly, the past was a tapestry of such moments, time well spent understanding our choice inconveniences, more fleeting and surreal with every echo. Within this dimly lit canvas, the evenings whisper secrets of the household and perhaps tender laughs shared around its oft-used porcelain vessel. It's akin to those giddy moments, standing with friends late at night in a slant of kitchen light, reverberating with stories only binding in the isolated hush, the moon reflected in questioning angles. Victorian treasures such as these tell tales more vibrant than any study of artifacts or ornate curls of old script could capture. Within these moments, the unity and kinship of history twinkle down from shadowy ledges to soothe with a chuckle and a nod. The chamber pot becomes a testament to a reality humanely absurd, endlessly relatable, and somehow exquisitely comforting in our shared experiences of life's necessities. With every creak of wooden halls and stories left spinning their gentle webs, you'll find these histories deepen like laughter lines etched across the face of time. The simplicity of such recollections lulls you into the shared reminiscence of humanity, bringing you closer to souls from an era past, hand brushing hand beneath a veil of knowing smiles. Everything comes full circle in the harmony of simplicity, linking ages with each breath, each sigh, until only the warm blanket of night remains, softly echoing the lull of lives tenderly lived. The quiet resolve of another Victorian night drapes over the household, a gentle, woven tapestry of calm. You find yourself amid the nighttime whispers, each room cocooned in a subtle embrace of flickering shadows that dance playfully across the walls, like the comforting tick of a silent clock. It's the kind of quiet that inspires thoughts of solitude and togetherness, where the domestic hum of a well-loved space holds your senses captive in its gentle grasp. In the softly lit corner of this world, neat rows of polished shoes and brushed garments await the dawning of a new day. It's a small but significant detail, like lining up your day's intentions just before diving into a dream-filled slumber. And oh, the ritual of shoe polishing, a tradition of devotion echoing through the years, akin to pressing your clothes for a first date, where impressions never tire in their warmth and expectation. The Victorians took pride in every detail, even in the humble art of shoe care. Imagine the rhythmic dance of the brush, swiping across leather, breathing new life into tired soles. A simple act, but deeply ingrained in the daily routine. It's a connection to the earth and mobility that feels oddly soothing, like finding satisfaction in the simple act of brewing your morning coffee just right. The gleam of freshly polished shoes almost mirrors the sparkle of dawn, heralding yet another beautiful and unpredictable day. Historians still argue, though, whether this rigorous attention to such minute details was truly an aspect of character reflected in meticulous presentation, or simply the means to ward off the whispers of propriety, the life hacks of its day. Perhaps it's a lingering puzzle, pondering over whether the multifaceted discipline stemmed from authentic diligence or societal pressures to shine anew every day. It's comparable to the modern debate over social media's influence. Do we post out of genuine joy or the subtle urge to present curated perfection to the world? Flanked by the polished items are wooden-handled brushes standing erect as though saluting through history's long hallway. You can almost hear them calling, "Onward, dear occupant. Step into morning with your best foot forward." Hui. It's charming, this dedication to details, and a testament to a time when evening rituals involved loving preparation, much like laying down on freshly washed sheets you told yourself you'd change weeks ago. There's a whisper of quality in the soft sheen, reflecting dim light, a lullaby to tucked-away homes and toilers. Nested within these quadrants of care lies oral hygiene, another facet oft repeated, where bristles tame teeth like daisies across a meadow. Victorians adapted with solutions that seem almost comedic in retrospect, considering tooth powders that leaned heavily on chalk. Yes, chalk, to fulfill that ever-elusive promise of impeccable hygiene. Try not to smirk when imagining a time devoid of whitening strips or ultrasonic toothbrushes. It's strange to think about brushing without electric buzzing, relying on the unpredictable alchemy of powder, and often resulting in a surprising taste left behind as a shy memory. Even then, there's curiosity at play in this spectacle. Did the Victorians hold genuine faith in their dental alchemies? Or were they simply mimicking the motions of cleanliness, polishing both leather and enamel with equal fervor, come what may? Perhaps, even today, it's like spending long hours thinking of how to get ahead of the latest trend, only to realize the trends are swirling around us, like Victorian dust settling on shiny, polished floors. As the final hours of the night usher silence upon the household, it's these little reflections that play their favorite tune, humming reminders that we share an unending journey with those who stood before us. The echoes of past practices linger softly in the air, woven into the fabric of everyday life, an eternal companion through the ages, polishing the world into clarity until the rosy blush of the new dawn draws the first breath of another day. As the night deepens, wrapping its velvety arms around every corner, the familiar routines of a Victorian household quieten down, each sound diminishing into a shared, comfortable silence. This is the time when dirty laundry secrets emerge not as scandalous tales, but as echoes of daily life, richly embroidered with patience and persistence. You might lace your heart with nostalgia, thinking about washing clothes back then. Imagine laundry day, a grand affair, often involving a ceremonial gathering of linens and attire, as if sending your clothes on an extravagant adventure through an epic, sudsy odyssey. It wasn't about tossing a load into a noisy machine and heading back to binge watching, headphones snug in your ears, like heralds of distraction. No, this was an all-hands-on-deck affair, where washboards and elbow grease took center stage. The curious clunk of pails, the steady splash of water. It's almost poetic in its unity, despite the laborious nature of the task. Shirts and lace delicacies were churned with enthusiasm, often in soaps whose rough-hewn grace challenged the fabric they aimed to cleanse. You'd imagine it's akin to living in a time where workout routines involved a pint of persistence mixed with an equal dose of muscle and grit, rather like resisting the pull of all-day pajama narratives calling on lazy Sundays. Here's a delightful tidbit to ponder. In lieu of today's sprinkle of fabric softener or swish of scent beads, Victorian laundry might find itself rubbed lovingly with a hint of blue dye to counteract any yellowing due to age or nature's whims. Dubious chemistry meets a spot of creativity, blending trial and error like a workshop evening involving herbs and potions over which housewives would tactfully engage in comparing arrays of method and mayhem. It's production line pertinence with a side of good-natured banter, not unlike living out tiny dramas on the backdrop of a favorite sitcom rerun, continually refreshing in sudsy charm. Now, historians still debate, was Laundry Day a communal lifeline in the social web, or simply another chore burdening the lives of many? Was it a sphere for spinning tales and connecting amid steam and fabric? Or was it a relentless cog echoing the timeless march of duties past? This pattern often mimics our modern spirit as we question whether technology binds us closer or keeps us subtly apart as digital avatars dangle in the ether. Each piece of cloth emerged as a canvas, rinsed and wrung under the sky's approving gaze, whether kissed by sunshine or shielded beneath a flustered assembly of clouds. There is, in this scene, a conjured pact with nature, a deeply entrenched understanding that permeates not just fabric, but life itself. Each tendril of this partnership undulates in rhythm with the washing lines, highlighting the reality that sharing toils made burdens lighter by measure of laughter and shared resolve. As these garments hung suspended, they too seemed to sigh out the composition of the day in fragrant ripples. The simple pleasure of a brisk wind tugging at cloth and lace speaks of freedom, held within the pragmatism of loops and stitching figments that hold networks in a whimsical promise, much like trusting an old friend to always contain a joke ready, whatever the circumstance. There is a peculiar comfort in the cadence of vintage wash journeys, the understated satisfaction of observing soil transform to clarity through diligent hands. At their day's end, Victorians might find solace in knowing each stitch, every thread carried the essence of their shared narrative, a declaration of purposes met. Such was the way of washing, ordinary yet profound, where echoes intertwined with hands steeped in fabric become history's blueprint of voices interlaced gently by timelessness. Within these folds, these patterns and prints, the stories of long-gone days whisper gently into the night, carrying with them the gentle reminder that every era hems the edges of its narrative as we do now, persisting in flirting with possibilities where even the humblest pursuits can remind us of life simplified, safely wrapped in our knowing embrace. As the gentle rhythm of Victorian life continues, the night deepens, enshrouding the household under a comforting canopy of shared secrets and tender sighs. It's during these hours that the noble handkerchief, ornate yet practical, comes into play, serving both fashion and function in ways that feel oddly relatable, like sending a meme instead of articulating how you actually feel. The handkerchief wasn't just a tool for hygiene and modesty. It was an extension of one's personality, an accessory that spoke silently where words might falter. Imagine a world where a simple sneeze held the potential for whispered reputation, tied to the elegance of the dainty fabric one held. Fancy that. A piece of cloth, quite literally steeped in societal etiquette, subtly suggesting, "I've traveled and read Byron," or perhaps more realistically, "I'm desperately trying to hold it together during this pollen invasion." This handkerchief harbored a gentle humor in its delicate folds. It was the period's quintessential multitasker, seeing to sudden spills and bold swooning alike, from blotting away the mists of emotion in a lively playhouse, to shielding its bearer from the less than ethereal scents of poorly kept streets. Its versatility was surpassed only by its tendency to disappear precisely when you most needed it, like the one sock that always seems to have a more exciting life elsewhere, mingling beyond reach. But here's a quirk historians still circle. Was this seemingly extravagant accessory reflective of affluence, or was it a necessity that subtly allowed a society to mask its natural imperfections? Did the applications of this small yet mighty helper become symbolic of something larger, reminiscent of today's favorite reversible tote that's always somehow full of mystery receipts and forgotten snacks? Whether dabbing powdered remnants from powdered cheeks or tied affectionately around romance novels as bookmarks, these small squares of textile told sewn tales as far-reaching as the worn hands that crafted each detailed hem. As they were often gifted, they became tokens of sentiment, holding weight beyond their pence like bundled inbox archives, collecting whispered secrets and passionate exchanges. Then there were the designs. Oh, the patterns, each an exuberant reminder that life's confetti flourished in pocket-sized pieces. Dotted with flowers or etched with initials, Their presence at a gathering likely heralded slightly cheeky asides or a hopeful flutter by a suitor faint with admiration, a conversation equivalent to those side glances and air punches of "I love this song" that bridge gatherings today. For Victorians, the handkerchief became more than ornament or utility. It was a shared, intertwined dance of decorum, an object binding the personal and public with cotton tenderness. Here was a corner of intimacy placed within the fold of social identities, reminding us how closely we cradle life's simplest pleasures as silent markers of time and kinship. In these subdued shades of history, the quiet drama of daily life would unfold around the simple intentions that imbued these practices with undeniable charm. Each tale carried within the folds of handkerchiefs swirled and danced through corridors, holding stories undisturbed by the passage of ticking hours. It's through such enduring glimpses that we piece back together threads of familiarity, seeing that what matters the most has always been tucked close, quietly, right by our side, as we continue to embrace our endlessly evolving narratives. As the night stretches on, the comforting crackle of the fireplace keeps the spirit of the Victorian home alive, casting a warm, flickering glow that softly hugs the edges of each room. The gentle light reveals small moments of serenity and connection, echoing the rhythm of lives unfolding like pages in a beloved book. In this gentle lull, the evening settles into routines that, while simple, hold a charm that echoes through the years. It's time to think about the proper nightwear. The era's sleep-cast wardrobe that revealed volumes about its wearers. These nightgowns and caps with lace-trimmed edges and delicate embroidery seem like threads spun from childhood fairy tales, each stitch telling stories of dreams waiting to be discovered. Imagine slipping into a gown that feels like you've wrapped yourself in pages of an old, crinkly novel. A sensory delight that tickles and hugs with every movement. It's a nighttime ritual both endearing and hilariously impractical, considering the effort needed to wrangle oneself into such opulent night attire. A far cry from today's lazy wanderings in mix-matched PJs and oversized tees that whisper, "I've completed my Netflix quest for the day." But did Victorian sleepwear really play a role beyond cozy charm and aesthetic appeal? Historians still debate whether these opulent sleep ensembles projected one's social standing, or if they simply provided the comfort and warmth necessary in drafty homes, lacking today's convenient central heating comforts. There's a ring of familiarity, much like choosing to don your favorite, albeit dauntingly elaborate, cosplays just because there's a joyous thrill in feeling deeply swathed in narrative magic. As these ornate fabrics softly swish and sway in candlelit bedrooms, the air around brims with unspoken hints of lives paused, the silence wrapping around whispered tales and dreams just touching the surface of reality. There is an unsung elegance in these routines, evoking a tender nostalgia that warms even the most contemporary heart, as timeless as curling up under a weighted blanket that's found its way to the very depths of coziness. Of course, this slumber-cast attire was often as much about modesty as it was nightly ritual. A delicately kept secret-strapped corsetry, drawn loosely beneath layered, hand-stitched covers. It's hard not to chuckle at the thought of sauntering off to bed, dead set on comfort, yet inadvertently tripping over ribbons or braided details entwined like a mischievous pixie on hems. A nightly reminder that humor often unfurls in the simplest moments when elegance meets the hands of sleep. Meanwhile, the fireplace, a steadfast narrator in the nightly orchestration of activities, continues its soliloquy, its warmth permeating every hidden alcove and tubular snail of a hall. Each comforting pop and crackle serves as a gentle lullaby, lulling many into slumber, while others remain engaged in softly whispered conversation, handwriting letters, or tracing whimsical patterns on quilted covers. In this quiet, cozy realm, time dances gently by, sketching peaceful vignettes of a Victorian life layered in scenes both tender and profound. Here, the flame's glow connects decades in a soft embrace, stringing constellations of reminiscent smiles across faces imagined, while shadows play along arched doorways, ushering in memories granted, tucked lovingly into the cusp of dusk. The night in its fullest embrace reminds us through the echo of linens, fireplace warmth, and cotton-draped dreams that we've all sought solace in tiny gestures and enchanted moments. In the gentle glow of yesterday, they come to life. Soft whispers of dear ones, swirling gently to remind us that evening rituals, like threads of history, tie hearts close. So, delve silently into the sea of nostalgia, wrapped in the embrace of contented slumber. Here, time casts aside its ticking hands, and memories, like sweet twilight, bid you rest through tomorrow's gently promised dawn. As the night deepens further, the gentle sounds of slumber fill the house like a soft chorus, harmonizing with the distant rustle of the leaves outside, which seem to keep watch over dreams. In this peaceful cocoon, senses soften as the glow of the fireplace flickers softly, sketching comforting patterns across the dimly lit walls. Like ancient stories told in the shadow play of gentle firelight. It's here, nestled within these moments of quietude, that the thread of history weaves its most tender magic. Each crease in the fabric of the Victorian home hums under the weight of tales untold, secrets of bygone days suspended within the air, like a lullaby gently whispered to a sleeping child. There's an undeniable charm, a warmth that permeates through history itself, touching the edges of our own lives as tenderly as if they were the fingers of time itself. Looking back, the juxtaposition of quaint eccentricities and enduring traditions, the pomp of perfumed handkerchiefs, the arduous artistry behind lace trimming, the comedic trials of chamber pot adventures, each carry a quaint resonance, adding intricate textures to a thriving narrative tapestry. Much like the way in which we find joy in our modern oddities, keeping 27 tabs open on our browsers just to feel a semblance of busyness, or rejoicing in the rediscovery of forgotten playlists. The orderly chaos of Victorian life gently nudges you to remember that every era had its own quirks and charms, a sort of temporal camaraderie that bridges past and present through a shared human experience. It's in these delicate moments, knowing their laughter echoed against similar walls, that they too navigated messy imperfections, that we glimpse the threads binding us across the vast stretches of time. As the hearth flickers its last embers and the weight of sleep descends gently like a silken veil, there's a comforting reassurance in knowing that these traditions, no matter how humble or grand, were woven with care into the fabric of lives lived with laughter, love, and the enduring quest to discover meaning in togetherness. This is the essence that sustains us now. Beneath the varied backdrops we draw of intimacy touched deep within everyday rhythms. In this peaceful, languid hour, there's an invitation to embrace our peculiar routines, to tuck memories into night's pocket as stars gently cradle dreams. Inhaled into the night's embrace is this vivid reminder. History, with its worn lace, and curious conventions lingers on in our lives, just as the glow of eternal whisperings is now nestled softly beneath our dreams. So, as you lay wrapped warmly in night's gentle mask, each breath a ripple across the sea of time, let the echoes of these stories linger softly around you, and know, as centuries continue to weave new chapters, you carry this gentle heritage of humanity's threads, winding continually into new dreams while cradled within the delicate arms of history and the promising rise of dawn's embrace. As the deep quiet of night firmly settles in, time seems to linger, stretching each moment like the languorous stretch of a cat across a sunlit windowsill. The fire's embers have faded to a gentle, persistent glow, and a warm solitude fills the room. You can almost feel the collective exhale of the household, an acknowledgement of the day's gentle passing. There's something profoundly peaceful about this hour, a sense of connectedness to all those who have ever found comfort in the inky blues and quiet murmurings of the night. It's a sort of magic, the way life slows with the rhythmic beats of slumber, creating a softly flickering dance with shadows that cradle the room like a mother's lullaby. With the whisper of the past entwining gently with each breath, you're reminded of how night has always been both a blanket and a garden, a place where dreams are planted and time steps quietly through dewy grass. Every century harbors its nighttime rituals, and in many ways, it's comforting to know that even amid sprawling linguistic divides and shifting cultural paradigms, the draw toward rest remains unchanged. A silent understanding, woven through generations, hints that it's in this stillness where we find the quiet echoes of ourselves. In Victorians dressing with layers of devotion, or culottes tumbling over today's mattresses, the threads interlace the settled air, a universal dance of shutting eyes, unfurling through bridges of thought and peace. Looking outward, the stars stand vigil over this quilted existence. Victors and dreamers, storytellers and listeners alike, all find themselves cocooned beneath their twinkle-lit embrace. A reminder that wide across every age, the silent watchers have never ceased their vigil. A testament to humanity's unending curiosity and shared celestial wonder. It's akin to the imagined excitement you feel when peering into the endless tabs of random pursuits and email alerts, each one a potential world of discovery, illuminated under soft, twinkling light. The night becomes softer. The words within its folds whisper tenderly of histories sung in the embrace of home. There's a sleepy kind of wisdom that reminds us that while days may be set apart by busyness and strain, night calls everyone to settle into its placid waters. It cradles us all in modest, familiar tones. Whether in starched nightgown or soft hoodie, it soothes unease like a mother drawing her child close. These moments, distilled in dreams and shadow play, invite you to release all else and allow the deep, warm sea of night to carry you gently toward slumber. Within history's embrace, you find solace. Dreams echo softly, bidding good night one by one and promising a welcoming dawn. As the very last ember curls into a peaceful silence, you know that within this slumber's sweet song and the calming hum of life is an invitation held out through gentle centuries. That here, nestled in a time of your own, your dreams may wander freely, warmly held within the ancient and ever-present arms of night's peaceful charm. The night deepens further still, enfolding everything in a tranquil, velvety hush, like the softest embrace of sleep itself. You find yourself adrift between the gentle pull of dreams and the tender whispers of reality, where time stretches languidly, allowing each heartbeat its own rhythm. It is here, in this liminal space, that the threads of the day weave seamlessly into the fabric of night, cradling you gently into its fold. In this serene cocoon, the world seems smaller and yet infinitely expansive, as if the boundaries between the self and the universe have softened like the edges of the horizon at dusk. The comforting weight of blankets grounds you, reminiscent of all those who have sought solace under similar coverings, eyes closed to the world, but heart open to the mysteries of dreams. You can almost hear the faint echoes of whispered stories, softly resonating through the corridors of time, carrying with them the laughter, sighs, and tender confessions of countless souls who've lain beneath these same stars. It's a reminder of the interconnectedness of all things, a gentle nudge that no matter the era, the human heart has always yearned for connection and understanding. Much like our modern-day habit of scrolling through shared musings late into the night, the soft, rhythmic breathing of those around you, both past and present, becomes a soothing symphony, a lullaby that transcends words and reaches the innermost chambers of your being. Each exhale, a gentle promise that you are never truly alone, that the warmth of shared humanity wraps around you, even when the night feels its deepest. As your consciousness drifts with the ebb and flow of dreaming, there's a sense of stories yet untold, of adventures waiting just beyond the periphery of now. It's the palpable anticipation of tomorrow, a tapestry unwoven, yet poised with all the vibrancy of future memories, ready to be stitched into your narrative with the dawn's soft arrival. And so, you nestle deeper under the night's embrace, surrendering to the tender arms of slumber. In this quiet sanctuary, where past meets present, where dreams fold into waking, you find peace. The night hums its gentle lullaby, weaving comfort and rest through the silence as you drift softly, relaxed and assured, toward the promise of sleep. Let the warmth of this shared history, these woven tales of life and laughter, guide you gently onward into dreams. For in the soft glow of the night, all stories rest as peacefully as the stars in their eternal dance. May you find comfort in their light, and awaken refreshed to greet the new day with the same wonder and gentle joy that now cradle you into serene slumber. Bathed in the serene glow of starlight and the soft embrace of pillow and blanket, you drift even deeper into the realms of sleep, where dreams weave effortlessly with the silken threads of history's own reverie. Here, amid the gentle cadences of breath and heartbeat, the world narrows to a single point of calm focus, centered in the heart's quiet rhythm. The Victorian evenings, full of quaint peculiarities and endearing rituals, drift by like the soft turning of pages in a well-loved book, each detail woven tenderly into the narrative of night. Lulled by the harmony of time's gentle passage, you find yourself nestled in a space where the echoes of dance halls and whispered confidences merge seamlessly with today's quieter hum of modern musings. Resting in this suspended moment, you're cocooned by the timeless warmth of shared human experience, a continuum of dreams that bind past and present, threading their way through the collective slumber of souls who've mulled over the same twilight reflections. There's a comfort in knowing that across these centuries, countless others have found solace under the same bejeweled ceiling, their thoughts whispering of hope and longing for the days to come. As you breathe in the velvety depth of the night, shadows and stories shift softly in the tapestry of dreams, inviting you to wander unfettered. Here is a garden of narratives awaiting exploration, as curious and enticing as an unopened book. Each dream is a gentle nudge toward exploration, a window whirling open to a verdant realm where your spirit can loosen itself freely into the gentle velvet serenity. In this peaceful tableau, the night unwinds its own tender lullaby, soft whispers tucked into folds of moonlight and star shadow. The echoes of hearth fires long cooled resonate now, only as soothing embers cradled in memory, mingling with the warm glow at the edges of your mind. Each note in this lullaby is like a soft caress on the soul, lulling the whys and hows to rest beneath the hush of night's comforting embrace. And so, you drift gently, warmly cocooned into uncharted territories beyond the horizon of consciousness, where the promise of new stories and fresh beginnings await the dawn. The quietude envelops you like a tender narrative all its own, urging you to release the worries and anticipations of the waking world. Surrender to these moments of quiet joy, where the curve of the night bends serenely around you, providing the space to dream, to imagine, and to awaken anew beneath the warm illumination of a sunrise yet to come. Tonight, as weary eyes close and breath deepens into slumber's soft cadence, rest in the assurances of the dreams that cradled the souls before you, whispering their gentle wisdom through time, weaving an unbroken tapestry of night's enduring embrace. Find peace in their echoes, drifting softly into a sleep brimming with the whispered promises of tomorrow.